This morning, I'm joined by one of my colleagues, Mr. Brown, who is no stranger to this radio program. I'm going to allow Mr. Brown to reintroduce himself to the listening public.
Good morning. Thank you, Patrice. I am Colin Brown, Control and Operation Manager at SKELEC. That division, Control and Operation, is primarily responsible for responding to emergencies and faults in the system. So I'm joining Patrice and PowerTalk again this morning to give an idea of what we are doing in the company and also get feedback from our listeners, or from our customers and the listeners to the program.
Thank you, Colin, and welcome. I want to take the opportunity to let our listeners know, especially those persons who are viewing on Facebook and on YouTube, to take the opportunity to call in or send your messages with your questions or your queries. Colin and I will try our best. We'll try our best to ensure that we provide some response or relief to our customers, because at SKELEC, we are a very customer-centric company. This morning, one of the things that we really want to have a conversation about is hurricane season. I know that we are just about in the second month of the hurricane season. So far, so good, to be honest. We haven't seen anything major. We want to thank God for that, and we hope that that continues throughout the season. But considering that the hurricane seasons are very unpredictable and we tend to see a bit of higher occurrences of disturbances in around September, it's important that we ensure that we inform the public about the ways that they can prepare for this season and what to expect from the company. Now, before we go into what the public can do or what the company does do or does after the storm, we want to have a conversation about what is done before the storm from the company's perspective, and that's where Colin is going to chip in this morning. What is it that SKELEC does in order to prepare for the season or any type of weather disturbance? Tell us about that, Colin.
So, hurricane preparedness. Hurricane season, that period of the year where we prepare for the worst that may happen, but we hope for the best that may happen. Mm-hmm. Our preparations are year-round. The principal activities, maintenance to the distribution network, to our electricity system, making sure that anything that may have been deteriorated, needs replacement, needs servicing, that is done outside of the hurricane season prior to June, July, so that when we enter the hurricane season and we start to be impacted by storms and disturbances, our network is in a sound position to continue to provide service during the storms. We also, secondly, in terms of physical maintenance to our systems, we do what we refer to as tree cutting, vegetation management. One of the, if not the major cause of faults on the system during storms, high winds, and weather is contact with vegetation. This is trees falling, trees touching, vines and whisk climbing up onto our posts, climbing up onto our lines. When it rains or when you have high winds, these vegetation contact our lines, causing faults, and you have intermittent outages, or in some instances, permanent outages. So you have temporary outages where you have a short contact, or rainfall causes moisture to track, and then when you have instances where you have big trees falling down on the lines, take down our lines, take down our poles. So as far as or outside of the hurricane season, those are our two major efforts. We are doing our continuous maintenance to our lines, our cables, our poles, and then we're doing tree cutting or vegetation clearing to clear those infrastructure from being impacted when we have rain and winds.
So, Colin, one of the other things I want you to explain to the public is the lines that they don't see. We are familiar with the HB lines and the LV lines. I want you to explain to the public some of the locations that some of this infrastructure is, and as to why it might be a bit difficult sometimes when we have disturbances.
So essentially, or substantially, SKELEC has infrastructure throughout the island. And in lesser populated areas or unpopulated areas, we still have to pass our infrastructure through that areas to feed customers who may be beyond areas where there's no population. So to put it very specifically, for example, all our guts, whether it's large gut, Kayan gut, Bloody Point, so forth, so fifth. We have lines and in some cases cables. We have cables that run along the side of the bridges, crossing the guts, for example, at Atlees and Lodge. And we have overhead lines that span the guts. So whereas in many areas our lines travel alongside the road, or at least within easily accessible from the roadside, which makes observation, maintenance, and repair relatively straightforward. When we have these spans going across hundreds of feet across the gut, hundreds of feet in the air, the challenge to maintain them, the difficulty of access, and the resources that need to be brought to bear to maintain them is higher. In some instances, much higher. When you have a span that bursts going across the gut, it is not a 1 or 2 day operation to repair it. Just for an example, College Street gut in Lower Monkey Hill. We have a span going across there. A few years ago, maybe about a decade ago, the gut washed out and took the circuit down with it. So the span that was going across the gut washed out the pole, wires fell in the gut, and it was a number of years, might have been 5 or 6 years before we have to coordinate with planning. When I say planning, the government physical planning department to make sure we where we're relocating the span to is authorized, that it's not going to undergo any further erosion. We have to get our internal resources we plan. So the investment to get the infrastructure through these areas is significant, and the investment to maintain them, but it is necessary. It is necessary to have a system that can be robust and provide service.
One of the reasons why I wanted you to elaborate on this is because when we get to explaining how the restoration process works, this will be useful for the customers to be able to imagine, okay, they have this infrastructure in the guts and it's going to require a lot of physical effort. I think that is one thing we want to stress as well. It's a lot of physical resources, physical manpower, our teams physically getting this work done, and that can hamper our restoration process.
Even to draw it to a very recent example, last week on Thursday and Sunday, Thursday night into Friday morning and Saturday night into Sunday morning, we had outages that affected Lodge to Cabbage Tree to Lodge. That circuit passes 2 guts. Passes I believe it's the Atlees gut and the Lodge gut. The areas where those lines pass, it's not traversable by vehicle, so our teams would have to marshal at a point and manfully walk, walk through the brush, clearing brush with the machete. In some instances, once you've located an issue, you have to bring in a backhoe, clear to make the space now accessible to the bigger equipment and doing the repair. That had to be done both on Friday morning. I think Friday morning they were in the Lodge gut, and then on Sunday morning they were on the Atlees end and walked the Lodge gut, just to ensure that, okay, we've had 2 repeated outages. Let us be thorough in our inspection and thorough in our repair, and avoid as much as possible, or minimize as much as possible the reoccurrence of outages on that circuit.
And it is for that reason, these reasons and more, Colin, why we really have to send a special shout out and thank you to our teams, our emergency teams, our control and operations team, our construction and maintenance teams, because these and for now it's just mostly males, right? For now, these males, these guys, they do tremendous work, and I know it causes a severe inconvenience when our customers are without power, and we really want to apologize to those persons who are in the lodge community, in the Keon area as well, who would have experienced these two outages. We really want to apologize, but we do want to assure you that at SKELEC, whenever there is an outage, we try our very best. Colin and his team in particular, they try their very best to ensure that these outages, these supply interruptions are returned as quickly and as safely as possible. So I know we kind of stretched away a bit from the hurricane conversation, but I think it's good to have our listeners understand what the work does include, so that in the event that there is a disturbance, or weather disturbance that passes, and we have this type of damage to our infrastructure, that our customers can reasonably understand that there is a significant amount of physical work that will have to take place, and that our teams will be working really, really around the clock to get it done, and that we crave your indulgence, we crave your patience, because we know how it feels to be without power, but we want you to understand how the process really works. So outside of what Colin would have mentioned about the tree cutting and all of the physical work that we do to prepare for hurricane season, as a company ourselves, we put our plan together, we designate a coordinator for the hurricane efforts. We put our restoration plans together. We start ordering ahead all of the items that we would need to aid in restoration. We put the committees together. We have communication plans. We have logistic plans, just so that we can ensure that the restoration process is as seamless as possible. Colin, I want you to walk the listeners through, and this will be one of the last topics that we'll discuss before we can get callers, and callers can even start calling in if they wish to, how we deal with restoration. Now, that is something I feel our customers need to have a thorough understanding of. When the lines start going down, when there are interruptions of supply, how do we deal with getting persons back online?
Restoration. So as you outlined, the company has a hurricane preparedness and response plan that designates certain roles and organizational structure, a slightly modified organizational structure, when we anticipate we'll be impacted by a major storm. That team, the hurricane response team, headed by our hurricane coordinator, works in conjunction with NEMA. So NEMA being the emergency management coordinating agency for the island, will indicate at the point in time when storm is imminent, when there's a curfew for non-essential persons, when we'll be impacted by a tropical storm or hurricane, and then they at some point give the all clear for SKELEC to commence operations, restoration operations, after the storm has passed. During the passage of the storm, SKELEC as an essential service, we do our endeavor best to maintain supply throughout the storm. Where a fault occurs and the community loses power during the passage of the storm, once it is not safe to do so, we will leave the community out of power until the passage of the storm. So we do have staff on duty at the power station and also on duty stationed throughout the island for emergencies, because emergencies can happen during the passage of the storm. We have been called upon and can be called upon in the future by NEMA, by the security services, the police, the defense force, to lend some aid during the passage of the storm, and we have done so. But those are specific instances authorized by NEMA. Upon the passage of the storm, NEMA gives the all clear, and SKELEC's assessment and restoration team goes into action. So now the storm has passed and we have a number of areas out of power. Let us hope that we don't have an island-wide outage, that all our efforts have borne fruit, and much of our distribution network and much of our customers remain in power. There's an initial assessment. Prior to the storm, we'll have stationed certain personnel throughout the island, and immediately after the all clear from NEMA, those persons start to do assessment. They go feeder by feeder, community by community, working their way to Bastia to our emergency operations center, and they will deliver the first report as to the damage that's out there, the communities that are out of power. Mm-hmm. We also do our assess our non-distribution infrastructure. So we do assessment of the power station, what generators are available, our fuel situation, an overall assessment of our readiness to what damage may have occurred and our readiness to continue to provide service. Having made that assessment, a prioritization is done of where we first put effort into repairs.
And what determines the priority?
So let us speak to communities, because that's primarily what our customers would be focused on. So essential services for the island and the Federation get first priority. So that is security services, NEMA, healthcare, facilities, hospital, transportation, communication,
yes,
radio stations, the telecommunication services, your flow, your Digicel, your cable, as well as, very significantly, and we will probably pass back on this, water.
Yes.
The water department is a high priority because much of our water distribution depends on electricity distribution.
For the pumps.
For the pumps. So in the first instance, we prioritize restoration to those facilities and services. The second priority is Bastia and environs. The intent is to get the commerce and the heart of the country going again. Then after Bastia and environs, the third tier is the major population centers outside of Bastia. In case of St. Kitts, that is typically the Sandy Point town and the Keon community. Over the years, I've come to Sandy Point town and
very accurate representation,
and
Mr.
the
Brown.
community of Keon and environs. And having established power service back to those two major communities plus Bastia and environs, we are fortunate the way our distribution network is designed that enables us to very effectively, efficiently restore power to other communities. So having gotten back Sandy Point and Keon, then we in priority of most bang for the buck. What is the next area and what is the next effort that will restore power to the largest number of consumers, and we work our way down the list.
Yes.
What I would say as well, the apparatus, our facility for getting feedback from the customers. We know, our experience in the past, that we'll have a large number of calls and reports from the customers, inquiries as well as to what is the progress of restoration, when can they expect power to be back, where are we with the restoration, and also giving us a lot of useful information about damage that we may not have seen, poles impacted, trees on poles, lines down. It is very important that we are there to receive these calls and give feedback to the customers. So part of the operations center, we have bank of customer service and technical operators, system operators who receive these calls, are there to provide limited updates and receive this information so we can coordinate it.
Well, Colin, I'm happy that you mentioned that because I want to speak to that as well. The importance of our customers being very vigilant and reporting to us. And while I speak about that, please feel free to call in because we just have a few more minutes here on air. So if you do have any questions or comments, please feel free to call in. The lines are open. Now, when customers call during any weather disturbances that we might have,
May I
we
interrupt
have
you?
a caller now?
Yeah. Can I ask you all to put on your headphones, please? Let's take this first call. Good morning. You're live.
Yes, I'm back. Good morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Brown and the lady there. Don't remember she title because she speak low when she was announcing her name.
Patrice Harris, Miss Harris.
Okay. More gonna be short and quick. Today is exactly 1 month since I notify you all about 2 coconut trees over in Lodge Village.
Caller, thank you. No, I did make the report and I was not able to provide an accurate enough area of so that the manager could have gone out. And he asked me,
Okay, let me say how
when
we
I
go.
go on the air again to
Yeah.
give, I can either take your number or I can give you his number so that we can get that matter
number.
rectified.
Let me tell you how we go. When you come
Me,
past
use
Lodge
it.
Project, coming to Molyneux, as soon as you leave the project coming down that long wall there are 2 coconut trees on the left-hand side of the road. And they're leaning over the road. They are very dangerous. If they have to fall, they can cause a lot of outage over here, and we don't want that.
Okay,
Like Mr.
caller,
Brown
can
said,
I...
last week we had outage from Thursday right up to Sunday, and we don't want no more of that. So please come and cut down the coconut tree. As
Okay,
simple
caller,
as that.
can I take you off the air and take your number because we want to deal with this matter? Can I have your number off air, please?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, GQ, can you? Thank you.
You ready?
GQ is gonna take the number, so. Okay, so call. I want to let persons know, just as this caller called in and he made his report. That's what we want our customers to do because sometimes we are not aware that there is a particular issue in this area if our customers don't let us know. All right, GQ, we have some more calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning.
Good
About
morning.
3 programs ago, I make mention of a concern at the head of New Street, right in front of the cash place there, on the opposite side.
By Fast Cash.
Yeah, by Fast Cash. There's a telephone post there with the weight of the wires at the top has now reduced the integrity, the structural integrity of the post. The post start bending, it start cracking and buckling.
Yes, caller, I did forward that report to the manager and they did make an assessment and I think it's a part of the roster for some upcoming jobs. But thank you for that reminder. I will reach out to that relevant manager again.
Yeah, because like how hurricane coming and weighing up against those wires, they're going to add more stress and strain to the post itself and weight that could cause it to break and probably fall on somebody's vehicle or somebody passing, which could be very fatal and dangerous.
Thank you, caller. I totally agree with you. All right, Jiggy, do we have any more callers? Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. I think I reported a couple times already that there are some high tension wires going down the road by the police training school.
Okay, this is the first time I'm hearing of this. All right, let me know.
Just in front of the houses going down there. And these wires just seem to be going lower and lower. You know, they got this big belly in it. And I think it needs some attention there. I don't know if the wires are dangerous. I don't know if they're not doing anything because, well, it's not really an issue. I don't know. But I think they're very low compared to other places where, you know, high tension wires are.
So they're very low and they're dipping. They have a belly in the middle. So this is the police training school in Newtown.
The road going down by the police training school.
So
In
it's
front of the police training school.
the exact road that this school is on?
The school?
The police training
yes,
school, the
yes.
exact road that it is on.
Yeah.
The front, the entrance.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Bone and his team will have someone look into that, right, Mr. Bone?
On the other side, in front of the houses.
Okay, thank you so much, caller.
Thank you very much.
All right, good morning, caller, you're live.
Yeah, good morning. In Greens as well.
In where?
Couldn't place some weeds, some bush, tree and the lamppost wire.
We didn't get the area.
If you come up in Croydon place, I'm going to tell you, them coming from the cemetery side, right?
Continue, caller.
Yeah, so you coming from the cemetery side, you take the first left. Come right up and you see empty land on the right hand side there, about 3/4 way up the road. You will see the hedges go right up and down the lamppost. Just before you turn around and come back down.
Calling your
They won't have a
area.
turn around in it and come back down, like, yeah. But you're going to see, after yesterday I was looking at them.
When you're coming from the cemetery, coming towards Bastia?
Yes, but you come down the road in Greenlands,
Mm-hmm.
you take the first left. And the road up, look where Kelly and them live, and you go up that road there, the first left, from the cemetery side.
It's not coming to mind, but if you could leave your number offline, and we'll be in touch to get specific directions.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you very much for the call.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I want to thank. We're gonna get another caller, GQ. Okay. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. King.
Yes, GQ is here, but he's taking a number for us, so we're here.
Okay, all right. The reason why I call in, right, I tell myself I'm not going to call in anymore to say anything. Because since I heard Culture speaking about that tree, and he came on his mind now, to know that he explained himself to you all, and it almost a month, and up to now nothing happened. And I decided, well, I'm not going to call in to say nothing about nothing, because when people call you all try to take information, and then you all don't follow it up. I'm speaking about the Fort Thomas Road lamppost, and up to now I haven't seen nobody come across there to rectify the situation, and it is in a bad hazard where it is at this moment. Because across here, the traffic is heavy, and anything could happen. Electricity is what you are speaking about. When we speak about electricity, you are not taking us on. So I don't have anything else to call in to say nothing. Have a good day.
All right, thank you, caller. I want to apologize on behalf of the company. I have made the relevant reports, and we did end up with a bit of a backlog because we were not able to continue with a lot of our regular operations during the time when we had 24-hour lockdowns, etc. So we were dealing with very, very emergent issues. I will follow up, and Mr. Brown is here as well, and we guarantee that we will follow up to ensure that this matter is rectified, because I know that these two callers in particular have been calling in for months. So I'm just going to take one last caller because we're just about out of time, and then we're going to wrap up the program. Good morning, caller, you're live. Okay, we dropped that caller live. Good morning, caller, you're live.
Hello, good morning.
Good
How
morning.
are you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Fine, thanks. We have a back road here in Connery Flat, paved, no lamppost.
There are persons living in that area as well?
I live on the road, and it's very lonely at night, for people's safety.
All right, Colin, you want to explain the process of applying for the lighting?
Yes.
Mr. Brown will explain the process of how the lighting works, and you can listen off here, but thank you for letting us know, caller.
Okay, thanks. Yes.
Well, I don't doubt the customer's report. I'm surprised that given what I'm aware of with the community, that there would be a street, unless it was a newly developed extension to the community, without any street lights. So customer will look into it. For areas that already have lights, areas that are already developed, if a customer wishes to have an additional light installed, they make a request to the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. Where it is that it's a entirely new development, provisions would have been made for electricity distribution and street lighting, security lighting, when the project was developed, and it's depending on how the community develops in terms of houses actually being built and the community being occupied. The installation of the lights is a progressive process, so we'll ask customers call, make a complaint, make a report that you find the lighting in an area inadequate or would need improvement, in your opinion. We'll come out and make an assessment, and you'll be guided accordingly. I'd like to briefly not respond to the gentleman with regards to the coconut trees in Lodge, and also the gentleman in Fort Thomas Road, or who spoke about Fort Thomas Road. We appreciate and we understand the frustration, and we can hear the concern and the earnestness in the customers' calls. Please be assured, we are not ignoring the concerns. I personally can attest that the report in Fort Thomas Road has been assessed, and the work to address it has been scheduled. Now,
that's for this week.
Is it going to be done this week? No.
No. Okay, that's something else. Okay.
It substantially, particularly the customer who says he's disinclined to continue making reports and dialoguing with us. We depend on the public and our customers as our partners to keep the system, keep us abreast, keep us on our toes, and keep the system in order. The assessment of a customer that something is, a report is clear and present danger and needs immediate assessment is not always shared when our technical teams go out and make an assessment, and then our teams are dealing with the entirety of the system and many other demands beyond the customer's particular report. So with the Fort Thomas report and with the Lodge report, both of those reports were submitted. The Fort Thomas report has been assessed. The customer is correct. The location of the pole on Fort Thomas Road, addressing that job, it's a tight area. The community, the planning that will be required to execute it, and the timing of addressing the job is based on the assessment of the technicians who would have gone out and the other demands and the other jobs we have on our plate. So please, not that my personal appeal will change your mind, but please do not stop calling us. Please do not stop reminding us. Please do not stop being our partner in helping us to provide service.
Thank you, Colin. Please don't be weary in your pursuits. And as Colin would have mentioned, it's so many things that we have to get done, so many different requirements, so many service orders, and it's not to say that what you are reporting is insignificant in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So callers, remember that, as Colin rightly mentioned, you are our partner. You are our partner. We require you to be vigilant. We require you to report. I know sometimes persons message the Facebook page and we direct them to make a call and they get agitated by that sometimes. But the quickest way to really have their matters dealt with, especially if it's an emergency, is to call our hotlines 465-2013 or 465-2000 and leave a message, or 600 from a cell phone. Yes, you might wish to message someone who works at the company, but they still have to get in contact with that emergency team, and you will be reliant on that person getting that done. So it's really important that you do it yourself if you really can, because I know sometimes people say they don't have money on their phone, etc., and you be as detailed as possible in your report. The next time I'm here on air, it will be in August, and that will be SKELEC's 10th anniversary celebrations. So I'm thinking about bringing some goodies for my regular callers and for all of the persons who tune into this program, especially to my viewers on Facebook as well as YouTube. And pay attention, because we might have some trivia. We might have great ways to let you know how to stay connected with SKELEC, and we want to let you know that we appreciate you as one of our key stakeholders at SKELEC. So always remember that SKELEC is the #1 utility provider in the Federation, and we are right there with you when you need us most, providing electricity with reliability and responsibility. Have a great day until we meet again next month.